Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers. I'm Patrick. Couldn't be more excited to welcome in our guest today. Look, we know someone asked for the story, so I'll give you the quick version. We're on the Brando Show. We get a DM and a helmet from Wisconsin Whitewater head coach Lance Leipold. Hey, can I send a helmet and some shirts to you guys? Absolutely. That became a running bit called Who Sent in the Helmet? And basically, people would send us helmets, or teams would send us helmets, and we'd have to guess what they were. And it was Lance Leipold from Wisconsin Whitewater who is the one that did that. We'd then go on to text a good bit. We'd talk a good bit, remained friends through Buffalo and then to Kansas. Got to go see him a couple of years ago up in Lawrence. Lance Leipold, ranked 5-0, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joins us now. Brother, how the hell are you, my friend?
Doing well, Patrick. How are you doing?
Man, look, number one, I really do appreciate you because you're in that point in your career where you could very easily go, look, I've been with, Gene Wojciechowski. We had Tom Rinaldi in here. We got Gameday coming. You would be well within your rights to say, I don't have 15 minutes for a guy in Shreveport. So I do want to say thank you so much for carving out some time for us.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, you've kind of gone back to the story. Probably when I had a little more time on my hands, I could watch and listen to the show a little bit back in the day. But you guys were always so good to me as a Division III guy, and I would guess I've always believed, don't forget where you came from. Sure. And those that were there with you along the way.
So I'm not going to ask you about any of the current openings in college football because here's the thing. Even if one of those schools was your favorite school of all time and it was the job you coveted most, you can't say it anyway. So it's a stupid question, so I'm not going to ask it. What I do want to ask you, though, is going from – a guy that is out there trying to find your next gig or, make that move up, whatever the case may be, to now the guy that everyone else is talking about making that move. What is that like to deal with when it's something that you haven't really had to deal with before?
Yeah, when you're so busy, I think sometimes that gets lost in because especially at this time of year, it's early in the year, and I know job openings keep coming earlier and earlier, but we got a job to do here. First of all, I'm be remiss for saying we're extremely happy here. Travis Goff gave us a great opportunity. We have no intentions of leaving, and at the same time, though, when we never went looking for jobs before. It was a rarity at Whitewater that I got a call that Danny White, the then athletic director at Buffalo, was interested in talking to me. And it was a weird type of find that being in Wisconsin, that the furthest east MAC job available was the one that actually had interest to make such a huge jump. And again, we take the same approach here because, we've got a fine TCU team coming in here. We better make sure we stay focused and make sure we do a great job for our players.
You've gone from, hey, that win over Texas was cool, to game days coming to Lawrence for the first time ever. Just the ride that this has been, and I know you have to be micro-focused and, next game, that kind of thing, but can you appreciate sort of the ride that you're on right now?
Probably not exactly, yeah. Cedric. I don't, it's so much, but there's, it's been, whether it be 5 seconds or whatever, taking the field before the game and seeing what used to be half empty now full and people excited. To say that doesn't give you extra excitement for the players and everything that they've, we got to stop being a punchline around here and stuff, and to see that happen and see their work and efforts and really those that stuck around, see that pay off. I think that's where it gets fulfilling.
You talked about, and I watched you with Gene Wojciechowski and watched you with Tom Rinaldi, and one of the things you talked about was the belief that this team has in itself. And, look, you're a guy that's not accustomed to losing. We've talked about you had as many losses as national championships back at Whitewater. You turned Buffalo around. What's that like, trying to turn a culture of, man, maybe we can win, man, maybe we'll hope we can win, to we go out on the field expecting to win?
Well, we talked about that early in the year a little bit too, is, stop hoping and expect. But then the more important thing is preparing and planning to win. And that starts like today in our morning practice and how you take care of yourself and your diet, your sleep, and your film watching. And those are all the things we tried to really lay a foundation with last year. And talking about, progress and success isn't just on the scoreboard or in the standings. We needed to make sure that we were making improvements and winning in other ways in the program, just through the daily accountability and setting standards and embracing competition within the program. And I think those have been some of the things that no one really sees that has really helped us take the steps we needed to make to this point.
The other thing that I find really interesting is you have your guys, and your guys have been with you. Whitewater, Buffalo, your offensive and defensive coordinators have been with you for a long time. What does that mean to be able to have that kind of stability and that sort of comfort level within your staff where that messaging comes out? Everybody already knows what you're going to say. Everyone already knows what you're looking for. You don't have to teach your coaches what you want.
Yeah, I think that's always been part of, hiring a staff is people that I was comfortable with, that understood me, giving them the latitude to do their jobs and not micromanage. But like you're saying, having that consistency and with minimal staff turnover allows you to keep progressing, but also the trust that you have in them and putting the plans together and executing and all those other things of the details of what coaching can be. It allows, like myself and our strength coach, Matt Gildersleeve, to focus on the smaller details and the effort and the strain and the finishes and other small details off the field that many times if you're rotating a lot of coaches or if you're a head coach that's a play caller, it's very difficult to try to do and maintain structure and discipline, especially in the early days. Now, those that can do it, they're a heck of a lot better in multitasking than me. So, but this is, like you said, we've been able to keep a core group of guys together. And I don't know, they're, for some reason they want to stick around and work with me, but it's been fun and it's been part of the reason we've been able to gain success.
Well, if I may speak for them, and also maybe something you might not even know or care about, and that is when you treat people right and you do things the right way, people tend to want to stick around and be a part of that. And I think it shows to those of us on the outside that aren't in your program on a daily basis that what you're doing is things the right way, treating people the right way. Otherwise, they wouldn't stick around and want to be with you.
Well, that's nice of you to say, and I hope that's the case. I think there's probably at least two cases. I'm trying to do my mental Rolodex of things, but two assistant coaches were with me at Whitewater, went on to other jobs, and then came back. So I guess that's one good sign.
Yeah.
And then two guys I was assistants with. We were at Omaha together on the same staff. So I think they go about it, because there comes a certain point, it can be level of football, it can be salary, whatever, but you still got to walk in the office, put in a lot of hours with guys, and you want to be around people that you like being around each and every day.
Lance Leipold, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, undefeated, finally ranked. Lance, I hate preseason polls. I think the first poll should come out in mid-October. Why it took them this long to rank you, I don't know. It's just another reason why I hate polls. But I really want to talk to you about winning in different ways, because you had really been winning with offense through the first 4 games. You've been outscoring people. You turn around, you face an Iowa State team, always good defensively. They're a different defense. Offenses tend to struggle against them. What Matt Campbell's done there is fantastic. And you win a 14-11 game, a game that really looks like that very much looked like an old school Big Ten game from 30 years ago, and you find a way to win that. I've got to imagine the confidence that builds, that, hey, we can win in other ways too. We don't always have to go score 40 on someone to win. Sometimes our defense can be what we rely on. How much of a confidence builder is that for you guys?
Well, I think it is. It's unique, and you make some really good points, because you talk about winning down in Texas last year, and that's been talked about for a long time. But we gave up 56 points. I mean, so even though you win, there's still a side that goes, man, there's a lot of things happening there that we've got to be better at. but you found a way to win and you celebrate. Well, now this is probably the other extreme where, one side of the ball is not as happy as the other one, but we found a way to win. And we say that pretty much at the beginning of every season. If it's 56, we got to find a way to score 57 or whatever. If it's, if it's, 2, then we got to score 3,
mm-hmm.
whatever it is, or we score 3, we got to hold them. So it really played out. And the other component was I thought, fortunately for us is that we won the special teams battle as
mm-hmm.
well. They had 3 missed field goals. So we had 1. So it's one of those things that if you can win in those other 2 phases, you got a chance. And I think that was one, but also like you're saying, it can show that we have consistency in our program to find a way to win any way possible.
So everyone's talking about Jalen Daniels, your quarterback, who has had such a remarkable start to the season. Statistically, didn't have a huge game for you against Iowa State, as we talked about, as a bit of a defensive battle. But I want to go back because, he's a guy that's there when you show up, and he has to fight his way into the starting job. What's it like, and not just him, but also a lot of the holdovers that were there that were part of, as you talk about trying to shift the culture, what was it like, not just for Jalen, but for the rest of the guys, trying to get them to buy into what you were selling coming in from Buffalo?
Well, yeah, it was funny because obviously your listeners know that, we replaced Coach Miles, but he was only here 2 years, and some of them played for Coach Beatty, and we've had players that had 8 position coaches. We had 2 mid-year quarterbacks come in 5 months before I got the job. That were when I hired Jim Zabrowski to be the quarterbacks coach. That was their 4th position coach of the semester.
Wow.
And so when you say that, and that fell into Jalen as well, is that they're just looking for some consistency and opportunity, and to find out now trust isn't built overnight. But as we said, we look to show them consistency on a daily basis through routine. And like many programs across the country, that also was a component of this was the COVID protocols that everybody had to go under. There was such a disarray in college football of just your daily schedules that I think they were just ready to get back to some normalcy. And I think those things lined up for us quite well.
The transfer portal is much ballyhooed, and I keep reminding everyone it's not the portal itself that's the issue. It's the free transfer, the 1-year free transfer that you don't have to sit out if you're transferring FBS to FBS. How much are you wanting to use that? How much are you wanting to dip into that and use that to kind of were you talking kind of shore up spots like you used to with junior colleges, or is this something that really can remake a team from 1 year to the next?
I think it's going to be some of each. I think, you may see rosters around the country that'll be maybe that have used junior colleges in the past. We have great junior college football right in this state, but it could be a third, and a third of your class, but also having to replenish those numbers, because you have to really look of if you're losing guys in the portal or wherever that is about, really the depth and really the experience of your football team. Last year we were the youngest Power 5 football team in the country, 3rd youngest overall, and we looked at it just physically and by age. We had to make some decisions to try to get a little bit older, a little bit more physical with depth and things like that. So we utilized it. We utilized some of the junior colleges. It was kind of, they ranked whatever and all that with your transfer classes. But the neat thing about our program that I think right now is that the depth that has really helped us, because right now we only have 3 transfers starting, but now a bunch play, and the drop off isn't as much an inexperience or size as we were a year ago. And I think that is one of the hidden components maybe of our success so far as well.
You're the guy that brought Gameday to Kansas for the first time ever. I know that it doesn't necessarily affect you per se. I mean, obviously there'll be interviews and everything. You have to do all the excess media. But just what does it mean to this early in your tenure at Kansas, this early this season, to have the national recognition that you guys are getting?
Well, I would first of all say our team and program brought game day. I think through the way we've played, not one person, but I think it says a lot for a program that has struggled for over 12 years. To have a first-time opportunity, to have the day and the exposure for our program and our university and all those other pluses that really have been absent for a long time. And hopefully people then will continue to watch us and watch our program grow and see it as an ample opportunity and for one of their, for potential recruits as a consistent option and a legitimate one. And that's what we're hoping for.
All right, last thing for you, Coach. You have a pretty rough schedule upcoming. You got to 5-0. That's awesome. Now you got TCU at home. You got to go to an Oklahoma team that's reeling a little bit. Those guys will be out for blood. And then you got to go to a Baylor team where Dave Aranda has things cooking pretty well. And then Oklahoma State, who's arguably the best team in the Big 12 right now. So, fine and dandy to be 5-0, but how much do you look ahead and go, okay, well, we still got to back this thing up week in and week out?
Well, I think if you talk to any coach in our conference, sometimes it feels nationally, even a year ago, that I don't know if we're getting the due of the consistency and the quality of play. But the one thing is, at least in our opinions, I guess from top to bottom, the toughness of the day in and day out weekly schedule is the one that anybody can beat anyone. You're starting to see it, and I think with an improved program of ours from Kansas, who's been sitting at the bottom for a while, we've even added to that, hopefully, that problem. Like you rattled off some good football teams, but you mentioned about how well TCU played last week against Oklahoma, and that's going to be our focus. So it's going to be a battle. We've been fortunate to have 3 home games in a row, which is very uncommon. And not only will we have 6 games left after this one this week, we have 4 of those on the road. So it'll be extremely challenging. But as this team gains confidence and continues to grow, I think it's one that they'll embrace.
Lance, I couldn't be more excited for you, man. I couldn't be prouder and happier for you. I know what a good dude you are. You've been with us and around us for quite a while now, and I am so excited and so happy for you. Keep it going. We want to see more victories, and we won't bother you again until the off season, brother.
Well, that's all right. Anytime you guys want to get together, let's do it. You and Rogers are great people. I appreciate your friendship, and I wish you and your listeners nothing but the best.
Lance Leipold, head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Thank you, Coach.